This conference will now be recorded.
Questions? And then by the time we get to the hall, get her through.
What'd you say?
I was like, we gotta leave the door cracked because it locks.
And they just sent it out. Schedule a call with your Ennis expert. Will you please call and see who shows up?
So, you found the number 7 then? It's amazing. Hydrate's better than the expensive stuff. I don't live here, so I'm getting big. Whatever's in the back. It's already sold in the US. But I'm not taking any chances. The UK's best kept.
Not my thing.
Yeah,
Not my thing.
Larry's drunk.
No, his board's on Tuesday.
You haven't started with the course.
I did, yeah.
You did. One of these is like everything. I think that was like. She's still turning in landscaping design things, so if I get to that point, I think we'll have to. She's kind of like approved to do it.
I think the master, as long as they're here for.
I think so.
No, I thought we tried it without it and it's clear without. I moved everything that. Online, and I'm supposed to yell.
Me too.
You need to speak louder. I need to speak louder. Sorry. Project.
What?
You timing it.
James just chatted, have one person speak at a time, otherwise you're not gonna.
Okay.
He did. That's so quick, it's hard to see it. But the one time I did that, James was mad because I.
Here. Here. Here.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To approve the February 10th meetings.
I had one correction on second page. Hang on. Give me a second. Second.
Alright.
In a second. Any additions or corrections? Discussion. Yes. On second page, Eric Olson asked how often PERS should be completed. Anderson says 5 years is a standard to stay eligible for grants. The entire PER is every 10 years and updated at 5 years. That's why we had the 2019. Call for discussion. You.
Want to do changes before we move into them, or you want to?
I wrote them down, so I'll
Yes.
make changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move to approve the minutes from the February 22nd meeting.
Second.
Aye.
Did anybody have anything on that one? Basically just claims. Okay. Just said, public comment on non-agenda items. And I'll remind everybody, like I did last month, that this is your moment to say anything that's not on the agenda. And understand, since it's not on the agenda, the council is not allowed to answer back to it. All we can do is hear it and then put that in our pocket for if we to schedule for another meeting. That makes sense? All right.
Do you have the art vendor thing on the agenda?
Vendor?
Yeah, for the festival.
Business licenses is on the agenda.
It is on the agenda.
Any other? Second call? Third call for non-agenda. Unfinished business. So zoning board of adjustments started before. Here. We have 3 current members and they chose a chair. Is our chair here?
She's with them.
Hi, Chair. And part of our zoning, or our town code says that the council is to appoint their terms. So there are, I have here, their recommendations for what they can serve. And then we also received one letter from Kurt as well, willing to fill a 2-year term. And Maria spoke with Chuck Feldman, and he is graciously considered the 1-year term.
Somebody did, there's another letter for the 2-year term.
To approve the zoning board of adjustments recommendations for term assignments.
Second.
To list them all now.
Like to do the 3-year term as she's the chair. Christian Peterson for a 3-year term. Tony Treglev for the 2-year term. Kirk Cardosa for a 2-year term, and Chuck Feldman for a 1-year term. All right, public comment. Going once. Twice. And the third time.
Some people going up.
It's awesome. Yay. All right, so. Hi. Lori.
Aye.
All right. At the last meeting, we were asked to give an update on the pending civil litigation as far as we received a letter. The court date had changed to April.
I need a confirmation letter
So that's where we're at. And in claims, nothing has come across that I've seen, so. And either. James reminded us that we absolutely must submit our findings and facts for the zoning setback chart, for the ordinance that we adopted on documents from the planning board in which those recommendations were made, and the growth policy as well. So those are these. Not a vote on, it's just that's where they are. The noise ordinance, we have to set a date for this.
You don't need a word meetings, or does that have to be?
It'd be best if we do it during one of our regular meetings.
So that's the second hearing, so we've already gone through first draft. All right, so I think we're finally ready for draft so that it can go to first reading. Abolishing of Ennis ambulance with its findings of facts, and ordinance 148 to lease the space here to Madison Valley Medical Center with their lease agreement. Intent to do it, so we don't have to, but if there was any changes, I didn't want to have to go into reading. Solid in there. As well. 14th at 6 p.m. So the room may definitely see that we're missing a spot. Mr. Bancroft sent a letter for his very hard that I need to send you my resignation effective now due to my recent medical issues and my severe loss of my hearing. I cannot hear what's going on when the council is talking. It's very important to vote on issues that I do not fully understand because of my hearing. I do not understand what is being said. And I want to thank all of the townspeople who voted for me in all of these plus years. I was gonna ask that question. As a council, as a town, for appreciation, because that is an immense amount of dedication. Taking the heat and doing it.
Not yelling.
I'm not yelling. If I do it that way, does it work any better? James.
Somebody call me.
James. Yes. How's the audio? We're trying to get our glitches fixed.
Okay, so I can hear you. When you're speaking fluidly, if there's interruptions in your broadcast, it kind of drops out. If there's any kind of rumbling noise in the background, you have to just try to eliminate that and just have one person speak loudly, clearly at one time and look to see right now if you see I'm who's speaking and you can see like there's a little green bars next to my name lighting up there, that means I'm speaking. So no one should be speaking at the same time. Now I'll stop and then those bars will disappear. Then you go.
Bancroft. And Ennis. 20 years of awesomeness. That means there's an opening here, guys. I think that's next one.
Should we do?
Somewhere, you get at least a plaque. Showing off his today.
Some sort of plaque or something.
I'll make those arrangements and talk with John and see if there is a good date and we'll get it out there so anybody can come and show their appreciation for the amount of time that he put in. So that leads to the next point of the town commission by majority vote takes this seat and it has to be 30 days within the vacated seat.
March 28th.
We have 2 to review. Allison.
Her.
And Lisa Roberts were on a committee. Down, or we can go through and which could be meeting.
You guys interview him and then have a work meeting to vote? Sorry, Rich. Like a work meeting, interview them and then vote? Since we won't, it has to be before the next meeting.
If it's a scheduled meeting, yes.
That's your date. Want to do your interviews, what time?
The cutoff is Monday, right? So somebody else could potentially turn a letter in by Monday.
The person that put in here?
Yeah. Great to see.
Okay. So then you at least both can say if you're out
Available.
of town or.
Next week or the
Yeah.
week after.
There's so many people there.
By Monday, you will know.
Monday,
But,
Yeah. Okay, so yeah,
The next week is holiday.
Day or,
Monday or Tuesday.
it's Monday at 5 o'clock, right, we're gonna have a week.
I was thinking maybe Thursday, because that's the day.
Thursday's like St. Patty's Day.
Oh.
Yeah.
It-
Not that I'm super Irish, but.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work for me.
Monday at 5.
Monday at 5, all right.
Okay.
So Monday the 14th?
Next Monday at 5. Can you be back by 5? We can put you second.
I can try to be. Yes.
I suppose you start at 5. but-
So let's do 5:30 and like 6, half hour.
That works. Yeah.
Let me just. Monday. Monday.
All right. Appointments, as they continue. Next on the docket for commission approval or appointment.
And then if anybody else turns in, just tell them Monday at 6:30. That makes sense?
Yep. Just keep moving them down until.
Like discussion time in between. Do we have, and we have plenty of time to notice it, so.
Although it's another one for you guys. I have a letter from the Madison Conservation District regarding an appointment that's required by Montana statute. For an appointment term of 3 years. John Sidaway.
I'm John Sidway for the Madison Conservation District.
Second.
Any discussion? All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Club. So they
There's a lot
approached
here.
the Fish, Wildlife and Parks grant to create an increased ADA accessibility. So we have all of our paths and we have our ADA dock, but we don't actually have a way to connect the dock. So as part of a grant process, which is in line with our park use agreement with the Lions Club, they got a grant for that and to improve the wildlife of pond. So we have to officially approve Lions Club improvements down there as per agreed. No, it's the work. They received the grant money for it.
Okay.
I was just worried about the motion wording. I move to approve the work at Lions Club for ADA accessibility and aerator improvements.
Thank you, Maggie. That seconded.
And the third time? Yeah, it makes sense.
It really does.
Pay to them for going after and seeking the grant and making those improvements. Changes to business license code and fees.
I,
We all said it was good.
Legacy.
If there's anybody parked in front of the ambulance bay, could you kindly go move? We'll wait, we will wait, we're not running anybody out, we'll wait till everybody gets back.
And what's his name's final thing as he was leaving? Not John Moore.
Scott.
Scott. Gave me a citation. And I'm sitting there going, are you serious?
Feedback, 'cause you
There's a
can hear.
white Ford Expedition. Pinned it down to 2.
Thank you.
Ned, I know last time when you guys put the 2 microphones, like just kind of spread them out on the desk, I could hear a lot better, but most of the conversation I've seen, they're saying they can't hear anything.
Yeah, people keep texting me, they're like, we can't hear.
Yeah, and I think it's because like right now, it's only the one mic in here, so unless you're close to it or like a loudspeaker, because you guys used to do a mic at each spot. I
But then
thought.
James said that there was tons of feedback.
Oh, okay, that was too
You're like,
much.
not enough. I can try. Good in the room. All right, so review and changes to business license code and fees, and then set date for a first reading. So this has been in the works since 2017 that it's been, the discussions were started. The last change to any licensing fees was before Ginger started. Ginger, how long have you been here? Over 30 years. So as we're going through this, and as you have the old ones, well, we do somewhere, still on the books, they're very out of date. So we started just throwing stuff out to get the ball rolling again. So that's where we're at. We knew that there was going to be, hey, look, we filled the room. In positive or negative ways. And I know everybody has strong feelings about how it goes, but you have to have involvement. And the previous council had months of having. We kind of thought if we threw out all kinds of random stuff, we would actually get input. And I have a feeling people in this room that weren't here to look at the Lions Park amenities. So with that, I guess start with, as anybody wants copies of it, anything like that. It's all been out there. And heads up to the council, applauding for throwing stuff. For the growth that it's at, and we see it catches us in a billion different ways. Shoto for a mayor's convention. There's a whole bunch of towns that don't have zoning, and they said, woo, you should do that, and soon, because we are facing all kinds of plans that we hadn't ever thought of. Used to be in small and nowhere. We enjoyed it. Yes. Yeah. And figuring out how to do that together and responsibly is what we need to do. So with that, I guess we'll go with public comment on it.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Or speak really loud and one at a time.
You're right underneath the mic.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, my name is John Way, business owner. Destination, and right now, short-term, i.e. hotel and short-term. And if we start putting excess taxes on them, i.e. $1,000 fee per short-term rentals, it's going to decrease that. And I understand why you did it. The decreased availability of loans. The cost will be passed down in higher fees. If it becomes too much of a hassle. Our workforce, like what they're doing in Big Sky, the Good Deeds program, solve the problem. And I think if we earmark, a lot of people could get behind that fee, solve the problem. I think just increasing the fee solve the overall problem that you're looking. That's all I have to say. Again, my name's John Way, Ennis resident. Thank
Mike thing. Sorry. That's okay. Heather, and then I'll get you next, Carrie.
My name is Heather Hale, and I'm here with my sister. We own Madison Valley Property Management. Long-term owners as well as short-term owners, and so I'm speaking on the part about the short-term rentals and long-term rentals. So kind of to just piggyback off of what you said a little bit, I did some research, and specifically in the city limits, I know a lot of the push is to, if we increase the fees on short-term properties, then the idea that I've heard people talk about is that will encourage people to turn their homes into more long-term rentals. And I can tell you, representing long-term owners and short-term owners, that that's not the solution. Us personally, we manage 40 properties in the town limits that are long-term rentals, and the amount of short-term rentals that we manage is 6. I contacted some other people and did some research as well, just for the broader sense of the city. There are there's somewhere probably, from what I can figure, between 80 and 90 long-term rentals in the city limits. And from what I can see, there's 20 short-term rentals. So by taxing these short-term rentals in the hopes that we're encouraging people to become long-term rentals, are people that love this valley and they want to spend time here, and so they can't turn their rental because they want to come here and enjoy it, just like everybody. This is a valley, this is a beautiful city. Everyone wants to come here and enjoy this for the prime months of the year. So they can't have a long-term rental. And a lot of the people that we do work with, when they're not here, if they're not going to be here 9-10 months out of the year, we do try to convert it to a long-term rental to help seasonal employees, especially Big Sky. We get a lot of people that work up in Big Sky that we provide housing for during the winter months, and then in the summer months, the owners are here for short-term rentals because there is a lack of housing in the downtown area. If we tax these short-term rentals, number one, it's not going to matter because those fees are going to get passed down to the short-term people, or it's going to discourage people to rent their houses within the city limits. And you're just going to push everybody out of town. And I feel like if we're pushing tourism out of town, out of the long-term rentals, I know that they're talking about doing $50 per address. I myself, and I can tell you that I wouldn't want to, but I'm going to pass those fees down to my long-term renters. And that's going to affect the people. And I own Main Street Apartments, which is a lower income property, and I know those people, it's already a struggle for a lot of people to make their rent. People work hard, and those fees are gonna get passed down. So who are we impacting? We're impacting working people in the town limits of Ennis, which where most of the affordable housing. So by increasing the fees and adding fees onto long-term rentals, all we're doing is passing those fees down to renters, down to the people that we're trying to protect. So not protect, but by the people that, need a break. I mean, reality. And I know a lot of homeowners, long-term rental homeowners will do the same thing. I understand that this is all part of the bigger issue, but I feel like everybody says, we got to really, drive it home to these short-term rentals. That's such a small percentage of the rentals in this town. Such a huge majority of them are long-term rentals. I can tell you, added just our management company. I'm just speaking on ours. We've added more long-term rentals to this town by probably 3 times the amount than we've added short-term rentals. We are always pushing for long-term because we understand there's a real problem with affordable housing. And I don't think taxing rentals, and I don't think long-term or short-term is the answer, because there's a lot of people, honestly, that are renting because they can't afford to buy a house in this valley because of the prices, which is driven by demand, which is a whole nother issue. But I think by taxing renters and by taxing owners, we're not fixing that problem. It's a bigger thing, and I don't have the answer, but I just know that we're just gonna be harming the people, we're harming tourism, and I feel like we're harming, the tenants that, they. That's just my two bits on it. Appreciate everything else. I don't, you guys. Gary, you're next.
All right, so I'm a poor girl, and I work in the service industry and everything also, and I have 3 rentals. I live in one, and then I have 2 I rent out. None of them are over $1,000. I rent to people that work in the service industry. We do need more on this and that, but to give me a fee and make me charge that because of the town fee and the SNAP being in the city, I already pay more taxes. Property taxes are all going up. We all know that. I have people that live here that work in construction. I try not to raise my rent. I had to with a little bit with the property taxes and everything else. But the thing is if we need more people that move here and live here, and you want people to serve you, people that want to be happy, people want to be bartenders. Well, no, we're not happy because I can't pay my rent. Because the owners in this and the businesses in this town, they don't understand. They're going to have to start paying their people more money because we can't live here and pay what the rent is what they're saying. They say affordable living, $1,300. I can't afford that. I work full time. I work 2 jobs and I own my own rentals, but it doesn't pay my mortgage. I still have to pay in. So it's not like I charge people to pay my mortgage. I still have to pay that in. So this is a little thing. I'm just one of those little girls that just decided she needed to come in here and voice my name like I do on Facebook a lot. But it is what it is. I'm just one of those little girls that says, this is how it is. We've got the 90 units coming in. I'm a little nervous about the whole crime, terrorists, where are all these people coming from? Are they all going to Big Sky? What are they doing? Where are they all going to work? Are they going to beat us out of jobs here? We don't know. Is that affordable living? How are they going to be able to live there? So with somebody in my situation where I only have 3 rentals, 2 that I rent out, and I have to pay, I mean, it is little, it's the $50 per unit, I get it. Compared to the short term, I get it, but it's extra. I already pay taxes, I already pay all this, so why am I getting charged even more because it's here in town? So that's all I wanted to say. I'm just kind of, like I said, speaking up for the little kids and the little people that we're not going any higher, and affordable living is not as much as what everybody that's moving here that has that kind of money. Affordable living to me is not $1,400 for rent when I have to pay phone, rent, insurance, car payments, everything else. So it all adds up, but that's all I needed to say on that. So thank you.
What comment? Tony?
Yep. Speaking on behalf of the Chamber, I'm Vice President of the Chamber Board, and our concern is that any events that occur, we're going to have to get vendors to buy a license. Vendors are coming here in support of tourism that we're trying to promote. Help us in promoting the tourism fee. The other thing, and I believe here that as nonprofits, we wouldn't have to do that. I just want to get clarification around nonprofits, and if nonprofit holds an event, force them to get the business license.
Well, I'm Patsy Eckert, and I'm we get a festival. We have a festival every year, except for the COVID year. Right now, we have, I don't know if you are familiar with the Art Association, but we have 100 members. We have 88 paid and 12 honorary, which are 80 and over. And some of the things we do as a nonprofit is all our monies that we make from our festival fees go back to the community. We sponsor scholarships, workshops, bring Shakespeare to the school, science fair awards, Madison County. We support Art Day at Farm to Fork, and library books and tapes, which we have about $400 this year. When our vendors do come here, Washington and Idaho and all around the state, they're shopping here. Some of them are staying in hotels and eating in your restaurants and buying gas and shopping at all the shops in town, and that's a fact. To enforce the vendor to buy a business license, I don't know how that could be handled when they're coming from another state. And it's a 1-day, 7-hour festival and we also have to, the bank has generously let us use that for the last 20 some years, their park, but we also have to pay a hefty insurance fee and have it there. And anyway, we're chamber members and we have to pay our musicians, we pay for the advertising for our festival, which I think is a boon to the community. I mean, there's kids activities and to expect a vendor to pay, how would we handle that? We have our, and so how would you do that if you've got somebody coming on a Saturday and they're, or a Friday and they're in a Saturday show for 7 hours? Here and shop here. All I can say.
Hi, my name is Leanne Reich, and sorry I am out of practice with public speaking. So, I own a vacation rental downtown, and I'm going to start with a couple questions you can answer later or not at all. But I'd like to know what the purpose is of taxing short-term rental owners so high. How did you arrive at the $1 per square foot fee? Where will this money go? How will it be used to help long-term renters? I feel running a short-term vacation rental is a business, no different than running a restaurant or bar or local gift shop. Why should short-term rental owners be the only business in Ennis penalized and taxed for the benefit of long-term renters? The same type of taxation or penalty proposal isn't working on the island of Maui, which is also seasonal and tourism based. What makes City Council think this tax proposal will work here? And I follow Facebook because I went to Maui 3 years ago, so I get all the stuff that just automatically comes on my page. So I want to read what they say. And they implemented this tax or penalty back in January, mid-January of this year. The County of Maui is trying its best to make sure that there's enough housing for the local population. In doing so, it has passed a new regulation that requires the owners of property to wait 5 years before applying for short-term rental home permits. This new regulation applies to any property that is not grandfathered in or is not built in a zoning area that allows short-term rentals without a permit. The problem with the law is it doesn't do much to alleviate the housing shortage for the population that is ever growing and needs housing now. Most of the houses that were used for short-term rentals in Maui were oceanfront or near to the ocean. The people renting those homes for $30,000 to $40,000 per month are not going to take a $10 million home and rent it for $2,000 or $3,000 to a local person. Those homes need to be part of the vacation rental market. The new law is a negative for those homeowners as they won't be able to sell very easily, and if the new owner has to buy and hold for 5 years, will lose critical revenue for all of the businesses that serve those vacation goers. Additionally, the County of Maui will lose tax revenue that they could use to invest in improving our schools and infrastructure for communities. This law so far has done very little to help with the housing shortage. Home price in Ennis, according to Zillow right now, is $480,000 and up. What would City Council consider to be fair and affordable rent? So do you expect these people that have homes that are 400 to 500, 600,000, do you expect them to charge tenants $1,000, long-term tenants $1,000 a month or $800 a month? The math just does not compute. Short-term rentals are the new norm. They are offered all over the world. This is forever now due to rising construction costs of homes. Some other things to blame on rising rent are COVID, record inflation, people moving out of larger cities, our current administration and political climate, historically low interest rates but higher taxes. Short-term rental homeowners are not to blame, and this tax only furthers the rental problems. When you raise taxes, you raise rent. Thank you.
My name's Trevor Lockhart. I also own a property management company and have for years that my wife and I run, so I have a lot of experience. Most of what I was going to say has already been said. These ladies over here hit the nail on the head, especially as property managers. I think their numbers spoke volumes. I'm going to speak to the other side of it. A lot of owners that are buying and doing short-term rentals now in the area aren't coming to property managers on a large-scale basis. The long-term renters are because they're not here. They don't want to come and have to take care of their property. It's easier for them having a long-term renter. I have experienced things with short-term rentals with Airbnb, especially because they don't vet their renters near as well. With owners' houses getting destroyed, all kinds of things. I mean, college kids coming in, annoying the neighbors, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's part of it. It's going to happen. I get that. And I don't want to delve too much into that because, like I said, it's my industry too. I mean, I take care of multiple short-term rentals. I got my license and took my test in Helena to be able to. I mean, we had our overhead and our time and commitment that we put into this stuff. But the thing that sort of where I need to play devil's advocate here is it is still a business. The people that are doing short-term rentals and stuff, more than likely, as I said, a lot of them don't have business licenses. They're going through VRBOs, they're going through Airbnbs. There's a very small portion of them that are going through property managers. As you heard them say, our business is the same way. Most of the houses I manage in this valley are long-term owners. Most of the houses I manage in Big Sky and Yellowstone Club are same way. I mean, most of them don't rent, I'll admit, and if they do short-term, but they get taxed the hell out of themselves over there. They pay a 4% tax. To be a short-term rental over there, you have to register with the Chamber of Commerce, and you pay your 4% resort tax on that, and you hire a property manager, you hire cleaners for triple what people pay over here, et cetera. And that's just part of it. I mean, I personally think that the fees were a little bit high. I think that that's why, when the discussions ensue, it's, this is the first discussion of it. But I personally, that hotels and stuff pay bed taxes, a lot of, there's these hotels and resorts and accommodation taxes on managing these units, it's one of those things where it's like, yes, they're going to be here and there's going to be availability, but those numbers, like she mentioned earlier, they have a lot better grip hold on this valley because they know it a lot better. I've only been here a couple years, 5 years. But I look on anytime I pull up Airbnb or VRBO and there's other rentals on there. So if, one company only has 6 or 7, one of the larger companies, do we have a bunch of other smaller companies out here? I mean, I know we have some in the area because I'm friends with some of them, and I know.
Well, yeah, and that was just in the city limits. Like,
correct.
we have a lot. It's like for my thing, there's only 20 in the city limits. So we've got a pretty good hold on the short term in the city limits. I was just limiting my because
I get
lots.
that,
Yeah.
and that's why I was building off of that because when you look on especially during peak season and stuff, when you look in city limits, there's way more than 20 short-term rentals available in city limits, so it's like.
That's what I looked for the whole summer, I looked through the whole thing, I can come up with 20 solid short-term rentals within the city limits.
Not just the ones that you guys manage.
No,
How many do you guys manage?
6 in the city limits, and there's 20.
Oh, so I misheard, okay.
Yeah,
So
that was just, yeah.
So the other 14 though, that's another thing that we're looking at. And did you go between like VRBO, Airbnb, and not to go like a back and forth, just in general?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So then, those other 16, who's, managing those? Are they owner managed? Are they, I have experience too where a house just sold off Fagan to a couple that I actually know from Big Sky, and they're doing exactly that. They're turning it into a short-term rental. 3 bedrooms, they're gonna rent each bedroom out. Like you said, outside of city limits, I live out by the airport and they're all over by us. They're all over Shining Mountains and everywhere. They're gonna happen. But I guess sort of my thing, and a thing that, just to build on that, like I said, there's nothing against short-term rentals. We are a fly fishing town. Just because we add a little bit extra to short term, nobody is not gonna come to Ennis. I'll just throw that out there right now. People are still gonna come here. Personally, I think that the fees were a little bit high, like I said, but I think that there does need to be something done to sort of protect the short term, to protect the city in regards to short-term rentals on its own. There's.
Right now, the county requires all short rentals to be licensed. And that means that the sanitarian has to walk through the homes, there has to be a fire plan. And if it's outside its limits, they have to have the water tested. If it's in city limits and it's on city water, it doesn't have to be tested. So, and the county, I know, is struggling already, and that's a $60 fee that short-term owners are already having to pay. And I know right now the county is struggling to get their arms around policing time think about as a city, if you're gonna enact something like that, that's gonna be, we're gonna have to be paying. I imagine that would be part of where the fees would go, to pay somebody to police that. And how are we gonna know, like you said, so if my person rents it for 30 days for 6 months out, if I have a 6-month lease, and then it converts to another 6 months or 3 months for short term, do they pay long term or short term? Should they have to pay the whole fee, but they're only renting it out for 3 months? It gets complicated, and that's.
It does, and that's what we were talking about last night or on Facebook, is it does get complicated.
It does.
Because when you get into that back and forth of the long-term or short-term, as you know, when we get into landlord-tenant laws, when we get into ADA, when we get into different things, that hotels and every other, have to follow, every other lodging aspect has to follow, there's a lot of issues there, and there's a lot of liability there. There's a lot of things that we take on as the managers, as the
right, and that's what the
county
county's trying to do, to make sure that these houses that, when I've talked with the sanitarian a lot, that's what the county's doing. They're trying to make sure that when somebody does go on Airbnb, that they see pictures of it, but they're not. They get there and it's something.
Correct.
That's why the county is policing this. So for people to participate in this business in these city limits, because then you're in the town. Let's not make more restrictions when we already have lodging taxes. They already have to pay fees. And people get so worked up 3 months out of the year. That's when people make money, absolutely no doubt. But then there's another 9 months out of the year where these owners are paying heating bills that are sky high, and they're that someone's going to rent it for 1 weekend out of the year so they can make, just their heating bill. Making all this money year round. It's a short season, and then the owners that try and do this the rest of the year, it's a big expense.
And we see that, when we take rents and deposits in our trust accounts, disperse them out to our owners and things like that. We see expenses come out of that before they get, their profits back, or before they leave their profits in their trust accounts and stuff. I completely get what you're saying. I understand. I empathize with you. I'm in the industry also, like I said. My thing is, again, I can't stress it enough, that there needs to be a way, and I'll go back to the old city council when Lisa Roberts harped on it. It was awesome. she was like, how do we combat this issue? It was one of the things that resonated with me because of that. Because you have 6 of those 20. How do we know that the other 14 of those 20 are reporting, have a business license, are doing anything to possibly, be a part of the chamber, to be a business in town? I mean, if they want to be a business in town and be a short-term rental, there's ways. Lee Fosnot, Jefferson, there's ways to be a bed and breakfast. There's ways to be a legitimate business earning aspect. And, we protect a lot of those people on the short-term side, but the ones that aren't under the protection, there needs to be a way, I personally think, and again, I know other people don't agree, but I personally think there needs to be a way that, and like I said, the last council started this, that we need to know all these short-term rentals in town and long-term, and have them somehow registered as a business. They're an income producing
But isn't
business
that
in
what the county's
town.
doing? Isn't that the whole point of the county?
Correct,
You
so this
guys-
is for the city.
Or,
Yeah.
so at this point, we are giving it as a discussion. It's not, so you've made your statement, sorry guys, but you guys can have your.
No,
yeah.
No, we're good, yeah. That's my thing, that's all that I have to say, is just on it, that I think that it should be a blanket. I think the fee structure personally is way too high, but if people wanna have short-term rentals and stuff, whether they have a property manager or not, they need to have a structure to it. They need to be recorded, they need to have where the city knows that they're a business, whether they have a business license or not, whether they wanna pay the business license fee for it. There needs to be some sort of knowing where these rentals and stuff are. I think it's a business that operates just like any other in town. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor.
I'm Lisa Carruthers. Those who know me know I've managed hotels, motels, RV parks, vacation rentals, and long-term rentals. One, to your point, Trevor, you would be surprised how much the state of Montana monitors short-term rentals, and it's through the IRS, so it's not something that our town needs to take on in any way, shape, or form. You'd be surprised how much work they've done to manage the non-permitted rentals by, I don't know if any of you kept up, back taxed them for 7 years for not keeping up. Our county does a really good job at that. I think to deal with what's going on in town, anything you add to short-term rentals, RV parks, everyone that's coming here in an RV, they're on a budget. And there's an age group that lives within their means. So I don't know that the RV park concept of adding $1 extra, I don't think people realize DEQ responsibilities for an RV park. They don't realize how much is involved in maintaining a park that you have to deal with. You get walk-in inspections, just like a restaurant kitchen would with an RV park. There's a lot of surprises. So you add more to that little park right here in town, that's gonna take away from their business significantly. But it is, there's a lot of added costs that people don't realize happen with RV parks. As far as from the short-term rental perspective, Airbnb, VRBO, whatever it is. So I think a really good scope for you guys to do some research is to go to the Office of Tourism website. It lays out a lot of what we do right here in this little town and how much the support of having those Airbnbs, how much money floods into all these shops because of those Airbnbs, VRBOs, all those different things. And all the data is right there available on the Office of Tourism website for this little town. And what this little town does is absolutely spectacular and amazing for the entire state of Montana. So I think if you add $25, $50, $1,000 onto these people, you're gonna be taking away from the town, for sure. Yes, we can type it right into the Airbnb to turn that into another fee that we're not having to technically come up with when you're doing that. But that's gonna take away a meal out at night. It's gonna take away from an extra day of a fishing trip. It's gonna take away from a conceptual idea of going and spending money in a little town to buy, some earrings and a necklace or whatever it is. All those little things, everybody really, from all the vacation rentals, they have everything, every cent is like organized for when they come and stay in Ennis, down to the T. Everybody's very detailed about the way they do it because they've called and done a fly fishing trip with John and they're with Wolfpack Outfitters with Shilea, or they're going from there and they're gonna go down to the park or whatever they're doing. But everything, this is the hub, and this is the hub of a lot of different things. And understanding that from the Board of Tourism perspective at the state level will give you an idea of what we do in this town. And how fees are gonna add up and take away from every bar, every restaurant, every little aspect of the town in spending, for sure. You had it laid out perfectly for you of how many dollars are spent and where they're spent here. I really think it's something that you need to consider. I know that a lot of places have done this 1% tack on and all of that. There was just a 1% increase, so yes, we're saying 4%, but it was 7, and then it went to 8, a year and a half, 2 years ago? That 1% increase from the state level is a huge increase. And the lights turn on June 21st, and then they turn off on October 15th. Your season to make money is June 21st to about August 27th. That's when you make the most you can make. Sometimes extend into the 15th of October, but you're dealing with a season of different people. Understanding tourism is the key when it comes to short-term rentals. There's a season of every country in the world that comes here. I can tell you what month they're coming. And that same website will tell you the same thing. October, November, you get your Australians, you get all these different people. We literally can track it by the country. That's what I'm asking you to do. Do your homework before you add more than needs to really be added, because it's working just fine the way it is.
Any other public comment?
I'm Lori, also known as Big Mama. I own Long Branch Saloon and have owned the bar for 15 years. I, am upset to see a 50% increase on licensing. And she just put her head down. To me, it's ridiculous. That's something that should be done slowly and surely. Where is this money going? I am still battling with behind my bar, and I'm watching 5 cabins go in, and I can see that their level of their property is higher than the property that I own with my husband. We have had problems 3 years in a row with the water coming into the building. But the way they fixed it, when my husband said something about the sewer cap being, you can't have the dirt low or higher than the sewer cap. You know what the city did? I'm so proud they spent the money. They put a cap on top of it, so it's high now. I am furious. I'm watching cabins come in. Water. Willie's is having problems. The brewery is having problems with water. We are adding all these houses. Why are we not charging people who are building in town a one-time fee? Instead, you're picking on all the people that live in this town now. You want to increase taxes. I don't know if everybody looked at their taxes this year. County frickin' hit us hard. I mean, it's a holy cow. And now you want to do a 50% increase on my license, but I'm not getting anything for my license. It's not protecting me right now. I'm furious. It's like you guys need to bring some people in that have knowledge with leveling and building. What's going to happen to the water sources when North 40 gets all those houses built like they've had approved? I know it's approved. Now we're looking at somebody who wants to build 125 places, but we're having water problems. Somebody needs to get a professional in here that knows all this stuff. What happened in Sheridan? They let all those houses get built, their water system and their aquifer went boom. They were having to do all new piping. They had to dig up all the roads in Sheridan, and they're still like junk. They're like potholes and everything in them because they kept allowing all this building. Somebody with sense needs to come in here and know when you're adding a road or improving a road. It needs to be professionally done, not just somebody coming in and putting stuff. I mean, I'm watching these houses go up. I'm getting out of my truck every morning and I'm looking and I'm like, holy hell, this is gonna end up in my building. And then what am I gonna do? Am I have to turn around and sue and get a lawyer? This is ridiculous. I think I need to pay attention. I don't think a 50% increase is reasonable. I think make it slow, like probate it in slowly. But I agree that you guys haven't raised taxes in 30 years or raised the licensing fee in 30 years. But I don't need to get smacked for not having a 30-year increase.
Anybody else? Going twice.
Brianna on there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I apologize if I kind of go in and out. I'm having trouble hearing you at the meeting, but I just wanted to provide a couple of things that may be useful, and I know your counsel, Mr. Greenbaum, can weigh in on this as well. As you know, I represent different... I'm sorry, what was that? Okay. As you know, I represent some different property and business owners in the town of Ennis, and a couple of things I just wanted to bring to the council's attention, which some people have already raised, is that there is already under the state of Montana code, licensing fees for short-term rentals required, and those are monitored by either the county sanitarian or another appropriate county. Additionally, you may or may not be aware of House Bill 259, which was passed in the most recent legislature. And where the funds for these additional fees may go. And under House Bill 259, which was passed into law by the governor, zoning regulations are not allowed to require payments that would force contributions to the local housing authority. I don't know if that is on the or not, but I did want to raise that as something that is new, that has come out of the legislature, that is no longer being allowed for fees by local zoning boards. I think most of my clients understand the need for the town to address the problem. But I think it is, the hope is that in addressing the problem, it doesn't create other unintended consequences. And that is the sum total of my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online?
I'd like to make a comment. This is Lisa Roberts. I'm having a hard time hearing you, so I don't know. But my comment was, I just want to clarify, is that short-term rentals do play a significant part of our economy, but we do have to find a balance, is what I would encourage the town to do. I know we don't want to look to Bozeman, but at the same time, Bozeman spent about 3 to 4 years gathering information on their short-term rentals. And I had the opportunity to talk to some folks over there that have short-term rentals when the policy was, or their ordinance was put into effect. And they were really happy with it. So I would encourage you to lean on other towns that have done it, and so you can find a balance with it, because these short-term rentals do play a role in our economy. And so, and I was kind of surprised by the fee structure as well. And I don't think it's fair that you're picking on one industry. I mean, we don't say, oh, we're going to charge you 2 cents for every beer. So the $1 per square foot fee seemed to be high in my opinion. Yeah, if we could just, on a base level, get an inventory on those as well. And just to start there, see how many we have, and have them maybe part of the licensing process is that they verify that they have the state thing. Because when I had talked to the sanitarian at some point, they were having a hard time just tracking down the vacation. And so, maybe we just start with just seeing how many we have and just work on the licensing fees, and, bring them down to, what's fair. We don't say, hey, the fly shops sell X amount of boats and X amount of, $1,000 fly rods, so we need to charge them more money. I know it's a big problem across the West and in a lot of little towns. And so Gardner, they struggle with it quite a bit, and they're not a municipality, and so they can't even license them in any kind of situation. But I think there is a balance that can be struck, and so that we are able to, at least know how many vacation rentals we have, and also have, housing for our workforce that obviously needs it. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. No other public comment? We good? All right. Now we're going to close public comment. Let us see our talk about it. I guess I'll roll off the ball. So the bed tax, where does that go? The state bed tax?
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
The Montana Heritage.
What does that money go to? What do they do with that?
They use it to, but different areas throughout the state that have older buildings, things like that. If you can look up at the Montana.
There's a lot of that, so it goes into our older towns and protecting our history and promoting that, and a lot of it's in tourism too. So way back in the day, when Montana was rough and rumbly and everything else, our industries were logging, mining. Guess what our industries are not anymore? So in our entire tax structure, we used to depend on those big industries to support our infrastructure, right? What do we do with tourism? It is, let's face it, absolutely, agriculture is not our top dog anymore. And definitely not in this valley. Ag is not our top dog anymore. Every single person in this room that spoke pretty much says tourism is bringing it in, right? So yes, it helps every single business. I know the floodgates open. But what it doesn't help is the infrastructure. Like, there's only so much of that road tax that comes here. We get it based on how many miles of road we have, not how many motorhomes pounded through here on the way down to Yellowstone. So that's the reality of it. So while we are all personally in our businesses gaining something from tourism, the town and its infrastructure does not get that benefit. You see what I'm saying? There is no resort tax in Ennis, Montana. There is no sales tax in Montana. We switched our industries. We never compensated for it. And so you want to know who picks up the bill at the end of the day so that all the governments still keep running? Each individual property owner. If you actually look at how the state is compensated for its lack of industry or gathering money from industry, you look at that property tax and the assessment values, that's how we're making up for it. We all felt it in the last couple of years, and then going on a 2-year assessment, we're like, whoa, man. This conversation is not fun to have by any means, but the fees are not a tax. I know we throw that word out there. They haven't been done in 30 years, and yes, we can figure out a way to prorate this or build it in. because water hasn't been done in several years and several years. But the thing is, all those things that you're talking about that we need to look at, like Big Sky has a beautiful housing plan that they've created. They had some engineering company, some company come in and do that. And everything that has anything to do with government, they're like, oh, you guys are worth millions. I think if I do this 10 pages, it is worth at least $50,000. Well, somebody's got to pay for it. And we do need a plan. We need to figure out how we're going to do that. The first thing that this council started with was the water. If you weren't here last month, that was our base. If we don't have water and wastewater, ain't none of the rest of this happening. The thing on the list, the streets, and we're checking it off. Because if we don't have a base, this pyramid is going to tip over. But at the same time, we have to have, and we knew that with this whole fee schedule, we were going to get the room. We were going to get to have real conversations. Because everybody else, it was quiet. There was nobody in a work session. Previous council has been having several business licenses. There was nobody involved. Get piled, now everybody gets involved. So with that, we're going to go back to work session. We're going to rework it. This is not the only area that needs and the marijuana. There's another area that we need to be looking at. Start figuring out our budgets and our goals, because I don't know. I started talking to other mayors and I'm, whoa, wastewater treat millions and how many millions and how many millions? We live on the Madison. Let's be realistic. How long do you think the lagoon system is gonna work with our growth? And do you think you have any idea what that price tag is to update? I'm just saying there's a lot of things that are gonna go into this. And on Main Street, paying fees for years. I mean, our business has been in since 1970. Hopefully, you will be okay. But say, well, I already pay a different tax. Your tax creates more tourism. Tourism brings money to the businesses. And again, it's just crushing our resources as far as in town. Freaked out. Hate it. Hate the sound of that word. And every time it goes to sales tax in the state of Montana, we say no. Okay, but where are we going to fill the gap? Are we going to start mining again? Are we going to start logging again? Or are we just going to each love our property tax bill in May and November? That's where we're at. That's my 2 cents on that.
So the dollar per square foot was a lot to me too. So I researched online a bunch. Some places go as high as 500 a year. If you do the math on that, and I did 90 days, because that's basically when my shop is open in Virginia City. It's $5.50 a day for $500. For $50 a year on long-term rentals, 365 days, that's 13 cents a day. Not to be a brat, but that's not a lot. You say you have to pass down fees and you have to do stuff. I get it, but it's not a lot. My business went from 25 to 50. I make that in 5 burritos. And not to be a brat, but you're making $250 in one night. And haven't raised anything in years, and we haven't been running it as a business. We need to look at this stuff just because we're dealing with the cost of higher stuff. The printer, I'm sure, has gone up tons. Everything Ginger's watched in 30 years has gone up here too. We're just trying to do business. We're not trying to make everybody mad. But we have to do something. And the short-term and long-term rentals, at some point, should be part of this. Most of the towns I looked at left out. So this is where we're coming from. This is just a working document, but we need to do something. Andrew, you can mute. And again, I'm for resort tax. It would help the infrastructure, it would help the money, it would help the property taxes. And I hate saying it, but I'm a pusher of the resort tax. I pay it in Virginia City, super easy, you collect money and you hand money over. And the town shows where the money goes. So, that being said, this is stuff we should just keep in mind. Bring it up next time, please don't kill us. 4%. It was 3% and they passed it with flying colors to go up to 4%. It's just a button on my iPad that I switch, I collect the money and turn it over. And they actually pay you back some of the money. As a business owner, yeah.
As does the state on the lodge.
Yeah.
Eric.
Yeah, I have to say I do struggle with the concept of businesses. I am all about, the free market, but ultimately is when government comes in, is when they want to work the way they're supposed to. I guess my biggest thing that I see with these short-term rentals is kind of a loss of community. Particular characteristics and short-term rentals that
I think the dollar for the short term may be a little high also, but from what I saw, there were way more deductions for them as a business than most. There were quite a fair amount of write-offs.
$60. See, on Bozeman, it's like almost 500. So that's why I was like, okay, so they're getting hit hard there, go down to like 500. But your county fee is only $60. That's cheap.
Cheap.
I'm sorry, that's cheap.
There's a lot of testing,
Yeah.
water testing, yeah.
But in city, you don't have water testing.
No, not, you're right.
So I was shocked when you said that tonight. I didn't look at what the county's fees were. I just kept researching other towns and what other towns were doing. So it is cheap, guys. Like
200 is really, for an inspection, sometimes they have fire departments do it.
Almost 600 because you have to have fire, you have to have sanitary, and you have to have one other inspection. But it like totaled up to almost $500 or $600.
Yeah, the county that sanitary comes and doesn't walk.
I thought Van did it,
fire,
yeah.
Yeah, and they've got how many new kids.
So I get you're upset, but I also think it's like, it's a business. I think you should have a business license. And I think that we, in this document, have to spell out the definitions a lot too, because like on the long-term rentals, like duplexes and triplexes, is it per address or is it every single one? I think that there is ways on the long-term rentals to cut corners on that stuff and make it more feasible for
And
property
maybe-
owners.
Like, sorry to be but maybe like better define like long-term versus short-term. You know,
Yes.
Like
So
how
for
does that
that,
work?
we're gonna leave it just trying to do
Just
commission,
us.
and then we're gonna go into a work session on this, because we knew that this was gonna be it, but hey, we baited you in.
We worked
And
on
not
this so
at
many
10.
times.
They have had, the council before has spent tons of time on this, and then I think Brittany's days, weeks, months. She's like, I just don't. But yes, we can't keep continuing with our huckster license. Yeah. So, we had our discussion. We're gonna set a work session date, because we still want to achieve some of this in some timeline before July, just because we haven't in 30 years. The money, because it never adjusts. Annexation fees to zoning, I'm constant, you look at it and you're like, whoa. If I was like an investor in this business, I would run for the hills or be like, yo, you're fired. Seventh day or whatever it is. But we know that we have plans and we're addressing them, we're trying to take these bites at a time and then looking at the timeline for when things happen. That's why we chose this, so that we maybe could go through enough process to be ready for July. So that we, because every time that we have to pull out of general stuff, ever noticed a hydrant that's really this low? They're not supposed to be this low. We have several that are unserviceable. We have several that are missing, valving, all this stuff that's got to pull together. Did we all not play SimCity? It's gonna go well. Big mama. Oh, and then, oh, sorry, I can't do it.
Kind of to touch on Lori's comment too, is that's another problem with infrastructure is stormwater and storm drain. And then when we did the master plan and we talked about changing sidewalks that would happen if you had to do storm water drains, everybody flips out. So it's like, you have to look at the future and at stuff, like we don't have stormwater drains anywhere. And if you want to put that stuff in the future, you would have to do away with your itty bitty sidewalks. Because they won't put down itty bitty sidewalks anymore because they're not ADA. Just saying. And it's a lot of money.
So, wait,
You said, oh, you have.
alright, so to get to John Wayne's, you said something about earmarking money for long term. We did discuss this. It is a possibility. We do want to do something. This is awesome to have this many people turn out. I would love to have you guys help us figure this out. The $1. To you? Yes, I agree. I did not really like a 50% increase on my business license. It really upset me. I'm sitting there going, I no longer like you. Yeah. I do have to agree though, we have to do something, and it is a business. Money. It's a business. Everybody should have to pay. Everybody.
I would like to set a work session day where it's just that, and then they can have a little bit more of those between us, and some problem solving, and some working back and forth, so that we can make progress on where we need to make progress.
And I just want to say, for the per square foot, I know we're not allowed to, but I just wanted to throw one last thing in. I know. Cents 8 cents per square foot a month for their base fee. So that'd be 96 cents a year per square foot. That's what Yellowstone Club charges us for property management fees. So
That's almost $1.
That's almost $1, yeah, but for Yellowstone Club, I mean, for.
We are in town, not a foreign town.
Yeah.
So that we can. So with the work session, the next portion, so we'll come back, we'll work on our table again. And again, that marijuana needs to be on there too. Get down in what they can and cannot do, and we all have to get our together. So we'll have a work session, and we try and make it so that then we have enough time to then have those documents go back through. Because we'll take everybody's pieces and parts and everything else, and then we'll work them again. So the whole thing with this is we are actually repeating your section, which is a beast to tackle. Workable at this point. I mean, circuses, I don't know when the last time there was a circus in Ennis, but it's been a while. I'm saying there's a lot of stuff in our old stuff. Hucksters. Coin collectors. We don't have any like.
I had to Google it. I didn't even
There's
know
lots of
that.
that stuff. So we'll do a work session, pull all your ideas in, see where we can get the next, how we're gonna all get along and what we're gonna agree and how the future's gonna go so that we can stay on the right page. And I wish I had a crystal ball for all this because I don't know what it is. Have to allow time before the next meeting. And then realize that we are on this march for another year. How many businesses want to like actually see what, if I just fix this, I would no longer be losing, I know, my tags didn't automatically update. Oil gets expensive every week. I fix that right away, right? Because I don't want to lose money every single month. The town and you people, the town is your money. So you need to recognize as it hemorrhages money, it is not Corey's money, it's not Ginger's money, it's your money. So you probably want us to not be. Bring your ideas in. Our emails are all on the town website, so if you can't make it to something, pile them in. We read them. Work session date. No,
Yeah,
what's
and
the
then
better?
plan for them to be here 2 days.
So
like
they
take over this
whole room. Yeah. I mean, we could hang out outside.
later that week, or do you want, there's
I'm just saying.
Monday
just
through
the
Thursday and the next
21st,
week?
They come in, so 21st
we do it
and
next
22nd.
Yeah, we can do that.
Just
That's what I
stay
was
late,
thinking.
just stay late next Monday and do our show.
Okay. Hang out next Monday and more.
What's
A
your
work
time?
session doesn't have the same formal rules. But that way.
6:30, unless somebody else turns in for the commissioner's spot, it would be at 7.
Well, we're at 5:30.
Oh, yeah. No, it's at 5:36.
Yeah,
6:30.
That's a great idea. Can we, yeah.
About 4 on Monday.
I would say.
Every business should do this.
We're just talking about it before we start interview, right?
Yeah, I'll just.
That works.
A work session on Monday.
This coming Monday.
Yes.
Hey, and you cannot. Wasn't with everybody else.
Is it mostly gonna be on rentals or?
The whole
package.
Monday at 2.
Monday at 2. Here. I have to meet with lawyers.
At 2.
Will you be done with 4?
Okay.
Okay.
I stumbled upon Facebook Community Housing Trust. There's another place to
They
funnel the
paid.
money into.
They paid to have.
And I have friends
Right.
on the housing trust that would love
Is
to
that
come over and talk.
Is that resort tax?
It's all resort tax funded, yeah.
All right. One person at a time, nobody can hear. And that's what the work session's for, is to hang out and figure it out. All right, so we're past that moment on the agenda, yay for us. Still have bets that I might be done before 10. Ha ha. So, I guess my next portion is, hi Lincoln.
Hi there.
So Lincoln is our representative for Ennis for the Madison County Planning Board. And I've been trying to.
Believe that I'm gonna be too loud.
Right, so Lincoln will be part of our monthly meetings, or we're trying to get something in there. You don't always have to be right here. I will make you be right here every time. Just to close the loop, because I've noticed that we don't have full connectivity between all of our boards and what's going on. So Lincoln's here to close the loop.
February meeting was canceled. We had one big project on the agenda for February, and that was the flat iron development up in Big Sky. It was approved by Gallatin County. It's, waiting for Madison County approval. I think that meeting is going to be sometime. We'll have 2 special sessions on that in April sometime. Those dates haven't been set. Let's see, January meeting, I think to what concerns Ennis the most is we talked about the Ennis master plan. I didn't take notes, but I think
There wasn't really
somebody
recommendation.
was, and there wasn't an action item on it. We just took some comments and sent it back to you. So
It's pretty vague.
it was kind of a big discussion, and I was just on the WebEx, which has been fantastic for planning board meetings. I don't have to sit there till 1 in the morning sometimes. So that was discussed. I think that was sent back with some comments. There was a couple pre-applications going on. We've got the Pioneer Landing in Sheridan, which is going to be a subdivision just right on, I guess, extension to the town of Sheridan. A lot of public comments. I know the original developer sold out on the property, and it was picked up by a developer out of Bozeman who houses on there. Sheridan's comments is like, well, how can we control this? We want some sort of say. And the feedback from the planning board was, well, look what Ennis has. They're working on this master plan, and you guys need to do something like this to get started. So you can have a plan on developments going forward. But right now, Sheridan, it's out of town, and they so it's an RV park on Reynolds Pass. It was a pre-application. That'll probably come up sometime. Same thing, it's county, it's on unzoned land. And there were homeowners down there who really did not want to see an RV park right there on. And there's no rules that say they can't do it at this point. So the planning board's hands are pretty tied on, we just got to follow the regulations. In June. I just want to say, for years I've been on this planning board. Every single subdivision that we look at has been Big Sky. It's been Yellowstone Club. It's been Moonlight. That's all we did. We just did Big Sky business. In the last 6 months, it's been Madison. It's been the Madison Valley and the Ruby Valley. So development's happening here. So we need to focus on all these problems you discussed not too long ago. A big one and only resort, which is hotel and 100 single-family homes. Those single-family homes are being listed and selling immediately for $8 to $14 million. When I was up there with the developer, I said, I don't see any employee housing here on your plat map. There's nothing. And we're closer from the one and only here, or the town pump here, than they are to the 191 in the gas station there. That size, I mean, that's going to have a lot of employees. And I just, it's my view, we need to get on top of it. I mean, a lot of it's scary. If we don't have zoning or some way to control it, all of a sudden they open Jack Creek Road, which ever was on a planning board agenda about 3 months ago. I want anyone burning down that forest before they. Take care of that, and we better have our ducks in a row here before the floodgates open. That's my county planning report, I guess. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I guess public questions, going once.
On the Flatiron, Michael Schreiner's project over there, I thought that whole 535 acres was in all Gallatin. So is some of it in Madison too?
Some of it's in Madison. It actually goes up to the dam for Lake Levinsky.
Oh, okay.
They've got property that goes.
So how will they
there,
split those 440 units in? Is it just county line? They'll kind of split it, or how do we split it between Gallatin and Madison? Or how are you guys working on that? Like,
You know, they've done the Gallatin side. They're just kind of approaching us for the Madison side development and their overall development plan. I want to say they've got 4 development pods.
Yeah.
There has been some recent concern with Lake Levinsky, if that were to ever breach. I mean, some of their development is down. So it'll be interesting to see. And I know we've scheduled 2 days of meetings to get through that.
housing in that, I
They
saw
did,
like
yeah,
400 units or something, a lot, yeah.
Quite a bit of employee housing, just not in this one only pod.
I read an article about the one and only in the Madisonian 2 weeks ago or something. I thought they said they had like 4,000 units or something for housing.
You know, all over.
It's gonna be like boat style, or, you know, like communal housing or something, but.
Does have employee housing
They
designated
say
in
that
their,
about one and only as
in
well.
their, that.
Because they're trying to sell the fact that, oh yeah,
Yeah.
this one and only is gonna be great for the community, so.
Still off the cusp. I'm like, okay, well, let Ennis know.
Sheridan doesn't have a say about the zoning outside of town limits and when it's passed. The county can't say something? They can't put.
Well, they could, but they don't have anything in place right now. So without zoning, saying commercial property, or this is a residential property, or it's residential, agricultural, low density. Right now, that's just 116 acres that has no covenants or restrictions on it, and we don't have any mechanism. And can't do it. They have to get a. As far as I know, the only safety meeting to make sure you have a 911 address, but we don't make sure their foundation is strong.
Yeah, it's sort of like the project in North Porter that we had, their answer
I, the one and only in relation to water supply and something with the jumping horse. Is the county gonna expand on what that is?
Now, you know, the one and only was approved last year. It's purchase some water rights from the jumping horse for that. Moonlight has their own water and sewer district.
Water rights from the jumping horse.
No,
Any
not
other
all of them.
public questions for Lucan?
What supersedes zoning rights, county or?
It'd be county.
Because it sounds like, so Ennis can't.
Ennis right now has not been enforced, so I think that, but, so Ennis does have zoning, but it only extends a mile from the town borders. Town limits are not very large.
Now, we all need to make a 1 mile north of town, and there's nothing against it. There's no zoning against it. Is that what?
And I think someone is proposing to the I'll do what I can to my property, and also kind of gives you some protection too. That
What are you gonna do to start helping Susie out clarify the zoning? Because there's a lot of clarity that needs to be clarified in this city, trust me. It's been about a year and a half of up and downs with it, and poor Susie got thrown to the bus. I mean, and what's the city and the county gonna do? Because with that being said, there's a lot of unclear stuff that's, the zoning says this and the zoning doesn't say this, and right now we're both, as you guys are clear, we've had to ask for assistance as well on trying to help clarify this to the city, and on the backside, what is the plans for the city and of the county?
Well, the county planning department makes recommendations to the city council. Additional use permits. So that's.
But with that being said, right now the county's not doing that. The county's outsourced that to now the second different company.
and the county, we're missing our planning in Madison County is the number one important thing that this county is.
Before, until we get a hold on this. Putting 140 unit subdivisions in. There simply aren't reserved.
But remember the Jackson moratorium example was brought up during that and the positives and negatives of that. So maybe we could look more into like some other areas that did moratoriums, just thinking out loud.
I think that the annexation and impact fee should be our next meeting. Because he is going to try to annex.
We just did the annexation.
It's
The annexation.
500 and then $1.
$100 per acre.
$100 per acre.
So, and then again, like,
Not the impact fees,
But
that's not.
the master plan, yes, great things, yes, bad things. Going to make it meld into what we really want or what we can agree on.
And we have to get
To
it
make it-
approved.
To make it work. And I didn't want to do it without the CWT, because if we don't have don't have an opportunity of every person to talk to. That's where originally we were gonna put the master plan on the docket, but if we don't have a full seat, I'm not making a 10-year plan. That's not fair to the people that live here. If we, that seat filled. I have a question
Yes.
regarding master plan as it went there. Homeowners Association, that way out by True Value, approached me today and was like, so what's with the master plan zoning thing being right in the middle of our subdivision? Like, they drew this line and it is right in the middle of the subdivision, like you're gonna zone half of us, but not half of us, and this is, I was like totally
No,
caught off guard.
that's that 1 mile donut.
It's just,
That
that
was-
was just the
yes.
1 mile zone. I was like,
Yeah, no, arbitrary and.
Seth, did you have a question for your husband?
No, I just don't have a question for him, but I would encourage these folks. There's a thing called citizen initiative zoning. And so where there's not zoning in the county, it would be up to the county commissioners to implement that zoning. And basically for the county commissioners to say, hey, planning board, we'd like to do some zoning, that kind of thing. So if you are concerned about it, and they can do zoning in certain areas and they don't have to take on the whole county, I think that would be probably a little too big of a whale for them at this point, but I think you can go and do citizen initiated zoning. And so I would encourage anyone who, for those areas outside of town and, outside that donut or, really in that donut, because that there's a little bit of a miscommunication. The town of Ennis has it on its records that we have the extra jurisdictional area, but the county, I don't know that was ever recognized by the county, so it's never been administered by the town. And the town, if they were going to take on that 1 mile, would have to do, you'd have to have a lot more staff to do that and a lot more resources. So go to the county and ask for citizen initiated zoning there.
Thank you.
Board members.
Seat of how many?
7.
7. And so that's the problem, is the town limits are so small, but it does take 7, just like these guys. So it's a lot of little
And then
communities of things to make them work.
Yeah, and a half a year on your guys' board, we've had like, what, 2 people? Come and go.
Lincoln, it wasn't actually, I don't believe Lincoln, it wasn't actually all inside city limits, was it?
You can pick, I thought, when I.
There was a couple.
There was some, yeah.
You may
There was a
close
couple
within
that
that
could
1
be
mile.
outside.
They could be within that 1 mile. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while. Yeah, they're.
I was like, I remember, I'm like, nobody's on the board that were not inside city limits. So yeah, we could not fill 7 seats.
And it's just hard to have the qualified people who.
Any other questions for Lincoln from there? And then I'll close it for there and then open it to make it sure.
So regarding VRBO master plan, sorry. I think our master plan proposed, suggested that city, and we're Is there any discussion?
I'm on it and send it back to the town to,
Sure.
to discuss. Was kind of the overall, there's kind of a lot of times Ennis stuff, you're like, oh, we're just looking at Ennis stuff. I can't.
No, I get it.
We're limited. So no, we just kind of had a general discussion.
For the interlocal agreement, they only had to look at it, they didn't have to give recommendations or anything.
So we didn't, yeah. Any other commission questions for Linda? Thank you.
What day is the tour at Big Sky?
You know, it's usually the June meeting. It's been canceled the last 2 years because of COVID, and that meeting is, I believe, the last Thursday. When the ones I've been to, and it's been a few years, but we show us what their development was going on at Moonlight, and then took us over to Yellowstone Club and Spanish Peaks. And for the business, Big Sky. And
Oh, we just added two
Yeah.
Big Sky seats,
Yeah, we're working
right?
on that.
we did.
Okay.
So.
Commission questions for Linda?
Sorry they go so late.
None.
I stayed up till 11:30.
The one, I think 2.
I got off at midnight.
I got my WebEx timed me out at midnight.
Yeah.
That was good. I did good.
Oh no.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Online, there's Karen here.
Thanks. Karen's in here.
Where is Karen?
You got anything else? So we are a little bit.
Trish, can you mute your mic?
Ginger back. Can you mute people, Ginger?
Good. Hi, Karen. Hello.
Everybody's doing well.
You survived? You need a
Thank you.
stretch break or something?
I was
Oh, yeah.
Easy.
Library info. So our February daily use average was 89, just slightly down from January average. Computer uses is also daily average 7, Wi-Fi 17 per day. Community room use total 300. Programming attendance was 230. Programming was up, general traffic was down a little bit, but everything was really well attended. Have added back in some kids programs on alternating Thursdays, and we'll continue to add in as our staff can handle it. So right now, with actually the youth programs, we have more demands than we can handle, so we're just trying to reach that balance. And let's see what else. So beginning in April, we're hosting a monthly growing and gardening series. And in cooperation with Continuing Ed, Conservation District, Farm to Fork, and MXU Extension, and also I forgot to put in. With
One is open capacity, the next will have to cap it. So this year's summer reading program, the theme is ocean. And we've completed most of the planning for, this is really our capstone project for the year. This is our also, but because the library is a service and not a business, I really have to acknowledge the community support. Funding its facilities and pay employees, but the community really steps up to help. Time, kids circulation outweighs adult circulation. Arts Association provides some money. I mean, Town Pump is also kicking in some money. Thank the community for supporting us. For education with Jack Creek Preserve. I also put in here, I definitely like to move forward with Lane Papers. Eric, we kind of made a plan, but do you all have any questions? So I don't know, that's what I'm asking. I don't actually think I need approval, because it's, but I'm asking what you need so we can move on. The Friends of the Library are paying for this.
Something she's been working on for like 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Just before, you know, I just want to make sure I'm back. Yeah. Most likely we'll do it in two kind of, you know.
Workday. I was thinking of help. I mean, a 15-year-old.
Oh. Wait, no, I have a 13-year-old.
Yeah, I'll be in touch as things. So I sit on a lifelong learning core services cohort for the state, and what we're working on now is bringing to increase services like broadband. So later this month, cabling and equipment swap out. I also, so actually today, I spent a lot of the day with Dan Clark doing the same thing you guys did, and going through Montana code annotated for libraries, specifically for libraries. I'll just give each one of you this, and I'll be going through this in chunks with the library board. It's going to be so fun. What's that? So if you see bits of MCA honorary reports, it has no inference on problems. It's just educational. We'll be going over this stuff. What's that?
Are you helping him rewrite it?
No, I did provide input last last legislative session. I did testify on behalf of Montana libraries. But I don't.
You just do training on it then?
Yeah.
Any other questions for Karen?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Keep up the good. We all have John's report, and I'm sure he said, as he says, my door's open, my phone is on, my email's open, so. More importantly. and ask him, like, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so as he's going through any of these that we may need to address through ordinance, lucky us, in the ordinance process of closing streets, and I know there was space.
I thought Otis wasn't parking, because we ended up shutting Otis down when I first got on, because they were parking on Otis.
Yeah, we've shut Otis down.
But
there should be signage.
The pictures but if you keep going, there's more, right? Oh, or Hujo, or.
In all of these places, I'm like.
Rougeau's in the middle of it.
But John did take some pictures, and I asked him like for measurements, because if we do anything by ordinance, there should be findings of facts. James, did you hear that? Findings of facts. He's not even listening. Anyway. Pictures and documentation and any of that needs done, so, I did ask John. Thanks, James.
I heard you.
Alright, Eric's, I didn't have Eric here because I thought it was gonna be a longer night. He's been busy as well. I'm sure if anybody felt the need, or saw, there was the pump that we had to replace. So thank God we had a backup pump because one of ours went down, and so we didn't have to wait 9 months, because that's about how long we had to wait to get that pump originally. So we did have having those backup things, like those conversations, and why do we need more money for things? Thank God we had a backup pump. And we ordered a backup pump ordered. Are there generator for this building? Would this ever need to be an emergency center for any reason? Wasn't his budget.
Backups.
Backups with backups. And I guess with his, I talked to Colette, they're coordinating on the next, on our contract we said. Kind of readjusted, or we're agreeing to readjust when we do that contract, but it's cold, and when you do things and it's cold, they break, so.
The guys made a good catch. No, like flushing hydrants and all that shit we can't do when it's still cold. Get dumber as it gets later.
Wait, Sean passes?
John passed.
Did they have to take 3 or 2? 2, okay.
Well,
But yeah, Leaks finding, they're on it.
Is Kyle already done with water and sewer? Which one's which?
He's just.
Bald with beard.
Always wearing fluorescent colors, that's Sean.
Yeah, he must have came from like blue collar.
Eric's really good about emailing back and forth. I send things constantly. I made him check out, MMIA did a roundtable on lift station debacle in Bozeman, and so he attended. Lines or maps or anything I know the school wasn't.
Station? Riverside? Station paperwork? Or just ignoring it?
Going through the process, but, the last meeting we had was with Colette from Great West, and, she's got like a month and make comment.
We getting the water rights for the annex.
Yeah, it's still going through the.
I just want to make sure it's on that checklist that
It is.
for the annex, we get their water rights.
Yep. They're over there now,
Or mowing.
the agenda's not out, as Lincoln told you, for March, but possibly they will not be on it. So we just have to wait and see what it is. There might be an issue with our interlocal agreement. Towns, but ours is so explicit that maybe they shouldn't be hearing them. I don't know.
We would have to decide this on our own.
Maybe, yeah.
When we write things too specific, it gets to bite you sometimes.
About it because he wouldn't hear about it. Some of the. Busy, there's a lot of permits going out on a daily basis, not coming back.
Is that for Alex Vogel right now?
We have an
Didn't you give water and sewer money back though? Yeah, I remember that.
And one of the sons is talking about doing something there, but they haven't come in with it.
They started to eat in my restaurant again.
Yeah. And he has 2 or 3. So I think they're reactive. Hey, wait.
Works.
I thought she was skipping you. I was never going to allow that.
So, I'll get that to in my report. Yeah, Monday, so she's in here anyway. I'm here every Monday, and that's it. Mission. Reports, mission reports, what you got?
A letter. Oh, I do.
That's okay.
I have written a letter to address DOT and thank them for the sign that they put down at the southeast end of town. South end.
Two and failed.
I had to
You're a quorum.
Yeah, it was supposed to be for Brandy and I, but then well, and let them know that the business fees or business license fees were going up and try to do our part to be transparent and slacker, and I missed the library meeting because and that's all I've got.
Stuff together.
Yeah. I won't do it again.
I don't really have any comments, but dog park. Just for thought, since we don't hear any of this stuff and we're not part of any of this, Lions Club Park might not be the best place for dog park because kids and dogs don't always mix. But we put a park behind town hall that does not get used, that is in walking distance to all these little houses they're putting in. This would be a good location, FYI. Shower thought.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll get to that in my comments.
Okay, so you're not, okay.
I'll address that.
Thought I had last
I'm
week.
on things.
Update on that. Or maybe a better parking lot or
We do fill
bigger
the
and
parking lot now.
expanded council room. That would be great.
Great facilities.
Good, anything else? Okay.
I was going to go to the after hours thing because we were going to talk about trying to get everybody, all the businesses. We wanted you to be involved in the conversation and know about the business licenses and that was going to happen. And we also wanted to talk about the master plan, which will be coming up, and the marijuana thing will be coming up. And we wanted to put as much information out so we can get as many people back, but because me and Nikki had agreed to do that, but then when I saw her, I left because it was a quorum at that point. And that would be unethical.
You went to present, I went as a business owner.
But there's
We're
still,
allowed
we
to
were,
be three people in a place at one time.
Mm-mm,
We
not
don't
if we're
talk
talking about
business and we don't
politics.
talk together. You present, I'm there as a business owner. Anyway, my card.
Do you guys want to be on the agenda for the business after hours? Because Marshall gets up and talks, right, about what's going on?
I asked if we could talk.
Okay.
I chimed in,
And
because she bet.
eventually, when we have a date set for the Cushing Trail meeting,
our last meeting, we are actually working on the water thing. Like, we had Great West Engineering come in and talk about how the golf course, we want to put in, what was it she said?
So we're looking at the hydrogeological study.
That one.
A well field might be our best option. There's still some possible annexations that happen that might have some gravy water here, there, and yonder, but we're looking at all of our options. But trying to make sure that we'll be okay 10 years from now.
that's why I think at the work session, Tony, too, we'll try and look at the chamber's concern for the
That's what I remember when we had the
Sure.
discussion, but it didn't say.
I guess all I gotta say is, we definitely have some big shoes to fill. John Bancroft with 20
Plus years.
plus years of his no BS attitude. I really appreciated the guy a lot.
That is a huge resource. That was
We
an
should do
issue that
something.
somebody needed.
Oh, maybe just some farmers market details. The lady who's in charge of the Virginia City Farmers Market is kind of proposing that people county, so we have a market in VC on Wednesday night. Twin Bridges will be Saturday morning. Ennis will be Saturday morning. Sheridan Thursday evening. Yeah. So if you know anybody who wants.
My mayor's report's on there, so I'm gonna wing what I can vaguely remember from this one. So, went to and ran the zoning board of adjustments, got that kind of straightened out, that was all like 5 minutes. Got a big meeting. Fielded a really fun phone call. In other words, people should not be mean to the town employees. And there's rules, and just because you don't know them. So that also kind of sparked this, I'm gonna try message every once in a while to remind people that, like, hey, I know you're out of town, but that's at the clerk for asking, like, what's a reasonable solution? We're hard to work with, like, we're all on the same page, so don't.
You know, and hear me repeat what they were saying, like, are you really saying this?
So there's that. So yes, look for in my future plans, the mayor's message, so we can start talking about those things as they come up. Some over flooding our lagoon. Yes, you have to pay your water and let us read it and all these fun. Don't forget. In the middle of, there's a nationwide coalition of mayors. Currently, we're at 65. And I mean, like, it's headed by Richmond, Virginia's mayor, and it's to end child hunger, which seems kind of, sometimes we forget that it still exists. And basically, as a group, we could then have the voice to lobby so that Congress doesn't do stupid. And they're cutting budgets and everything else, so throwing my voice into that pot and trying to be there, and then I'll bring back the community plan. On my radar, Lions Club Park. Still closed. I do have a meeting with DES. And all the things that we think about when the park floods is, you know, in your budget, making sure that you have mosquito control next year or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot too, the Stockholm Moms wanted me to mention that they do want the park if it's ever open.
I know, and we want to, but I can't, the reality of it is we have an immense amount of liability. And I know parents don't watch their kids, because I have them, and I don't be like, oh, I was talking to the
still that hazardous. And it is, and you can't say that it's even little kids, because last year we had to run teenagers off from, dragging the benches out onto the pond. We all know how well that goes when it doesn't go. It's closed until it's safe and we're done, and I'm sorry, but that's the reality of where we're at. And then when state DES evaluates it, they evaluate it for the damages. There's state funds to reimburse for fixing it, and what they don't cover, we talk to.
Club members, and it was because of the insurance that they have. The insurance company is saying, even if it gets one open, everyone's got to stay out.
Yeah, I told them that John's like super about all of it, and they get it,
It's a
but
weird year.
we have
roll with it.
2 fields for all the girls and boys right now, so.
Yeah. Hope it doesn't do it next year. And with the Lions Club Park, the dog portion of it, we did send it. Forum, and anything that I had on my docket, which is like a pile like this, I like made lists of every mayor that's like had to deal with any of this stuff, and I was running around the room. Kind of called it like my own Zombieland game, because I don't remember anybody's names, so I can remember something like that. What do you got? Anybody that had dark cards, Thompson Falls, this, that, and the other. I would talk to them and get their takes on it. And what I got from that conversation as far as dog parks was, when you do very really fast, and remember that you're still holding them back at the end of the day. So just exhibit a little caution, or if you're gonna do it, you better. That Mayor's convention was awesome. Cybersecurity, that isn't terrifying as we're talking about Russia and everything. So, arranging some awesome MMIA training for you guys, and partnered with that is.
Are they coming here?
Yes, I will make that arrangement. And then I'm gonna do quarterly assignments to how vulnerable we are. So lucky you, I'm giving you homework. Finish my homework. Yay for. And then regional. Basically, we have to, I would say we have to opt in, because otherwise you, through state PE. We'll be opting in and put it as a 5-year. Who fits that role and can actually positively contribute, and is going to be here in 5 years. And on that note, the other last 30 things I've done, well, one thing, so I've created a master document spreadsheet, and then I'm filling it in on like the water PERS and the master plan and the growth policy. And when those are done, when they're scheduled to be done, and then possible funding sources and what contact information I have as we've gone through each of those thus far. So that's the first document. Because when I showed up and there's this pile of really important information, I'm like, we need a little. Kind of go with it. We might have differences in how the approach is, but These documents are the only thing that keep us funded and ready to go to the next phase, will get us grant. New that this council does so many appointments, and then keeping track of when they are, because Lincoln's is up January 1st, 2023. You're on my spreadsheet, you're on my, I'm going to remember things and when they're due, so that we're not behind on them. Greenbaum has to be appointed every 2 years with approval from the council, so him and I are sitting down and looking at contract. All those things that were kind of missing are appointments, so there's an appointments document. A memorandum of understanding, so that the Lions Club Park is reviewed, or we're making one with the county and the streets, so that's reviewed on a regular. Anything that we know needs to be reviewed. And I think that's pretty much the majority. May, this conference in Bozeman. Go as well. Yes. We're trying to figure that out, and honestly, they recommended I send you both, but. But there, it's all based on credits and this, that, and the other. But we're going to try and rotate in and out or something. To other people, and you realize how crazy other towns are, and it makes you feel way better.
You have to register and everything, you don't do
Yes.
that.
Give me a call tomorrow.
March 25th, Great Falls. I'll be there at 8 a.m. MIA and the city of Great Falls is actually putting it together so that as we're facing these position fill-ins, I mean, we're competing with McDonald's starting at whatever. A whole day symposium.
Business license fees are going to pay Public Works more money. And maybe her more money, and maybe her more money, and maybe her more money.
You know, the mayor of Shoto pays to be mayor, so I'm pretty happy with where I'm at right now. Okay.
I would never pay to be mayor.
With my buck maybe a month. I don't need a raise.
So yeah, any other questions as to what I've got going on there? What I do hang out here every Monday, except for holidays. And maybe get my laundry done. So that's my life goal. But other than that, yes, every Monday I'm here. Multiple times a day. Anybody that walks. An opportunity for private audio.
Can I say something real quick? I understand that you guys, the whole town's going through. Hate seeing the change, we know it's coming, but I'm glad we're talking about things. I mean, the license to me was like, whoa, why couldn't we have just slowly done it? You know, I know there's growth coming. But we're getting on top of it. This is the first time since I've lived here that I've heard planning of different things. Good job.
We're gonna get along. We didn't yell at it, and we were all upset, and we had like a nice meeting. There was no pitchforks and torches. It was scary.
It's a lot nicer now.
Our work session, do we agree that maybe just working on
Business licenses?
this is our unscheduled matters? Anything that, oh, I guess that's the other thing. in my stupid thing, sorry. Because I don't want to forget anything, and as we're trying to, like, I felt like before, a lot of times things.
Oh, God. We didn't even bring it up tonight.
100 more hours of reading about poop that I didn't care about. I read through our entire DEQ permit and went, well, guess where Glendive's came from? It is written completely off of their DEQ permit. So I then called Colette and said, I am in our office, and I'm like, well, you and actually wrote the one for Glendive based on their permit.
That would be a lot easier than us trying to do it because we don't understand any
We
of it.
don't understand it.
Oh, after way more than I ever wanted to know.
I got it. Different types of poop.
So,
Yeah.
so that we're still on our same page, so we're hopefully finishing up noise. We're scrapping it all together. Vision comes from that. We have the ambulance to tie up. I was planning. Planning. So if we get through the ambulance, May, guess what's in May? EMS week. Okay. So Alan to do event for creation for EMS week as we close that loop into something like happy go. All right, so we'll have those two. Then we're gonna start tying into, by then we should go into pre-treat and into business. So we're taking basically 2 to 3 ordinance session, just business licenses. Feeling good about it?
3 hours to get through it.
Well, that's gonna be another meeting.
That's at 2 o'clock on Monday, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then interviews start at 5:30.
Yeah.
Bancroft's going away.
Yes,
Okay.
I will work on that this Monday. So.
We need to invite the
No, we
Lions
want that
Club.
to be in our work session.
Thank you, bye. We didn't kill you. It's still not 10 yet. I can drag it, no.
Come on, dude.
It's really creepy. And I'm like.
Second.
Where are we at? I don't even remember.
Move to adjourn.
No.
Move to adjourn.
Aye.
Aye.
Now you can do that.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
That was the.
Gone right
Can we have him discuss for that one?
A quick little thing, if anybody cares what we're all in here, Matt Rosendale will be in town tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. You guys can meet him, ask him questions, pictures, whatever you want, sportsman.
Until we get our second one, he's the only one.
No, it should be.
I don't do it. I tried it once and moving up. Yeah, $50 a night at the Rebel Bar.
I can't even do it at a bowling.
You're trying to watch it?
I'm sitting there going.
Inside
Like,
the building.
letting
Yes.
stuff out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what. So we should go back.
That's why I was like,
Some
Big
lady
Mama,
that's a bunch of-
Sean Way. And then was that a good
You can't pay.
That's no fun, I don't get. I thought we were gonna get a really that might.
I wanted to do
That wouldn't be a bad idea. Wait, you're.
But then we were like worried that it'd be. How about doing it tonight?
Right. Sure.
It's fake,
We
fake.
were like, well, is it gonna be standing room only?
I don't know. I don't know if it's our town bandwidth, like things just can't stream fast enough. Okay, we got the stuff that doesn't stream well.
See you later. You guys.
All right, okay.
Yesterday.
It's.
I heard you had
it's a
fun.
good thing.
How are you?
Memory, that's not everybody has that word.
Good.
I can remember stuff right away.
Yeah.
I even remember the morning and then that's evening. Now I can.
I had it. Already it was.
Sure.
I mean, there's.
Well, I
There's
did.
time.
We voted for that 15 years ago, and that's the way it's gonna be, and I'm just saying.
You heard from me, I'm like, all right.